Please rise and get our song, I See God in Every Face. Is that right? I see God in every face. And I see every face. Whoa, beautiful.
In every face, we come together to behold the power of love, power of light. We come together to behold, we are divine. Lift up our hands, lift up our hearts, oh, lift up our vision, lift them to the stars. Dance in the glory, whirl in the grace. See God in every face. 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 Hey!
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of New Westminster. I can't believe another week has gone by. It just flew by from the time we were here last. And it is so wonderful to see you all here today. So interesting today. Normally on a Sunday morning, people start wandering in at about 10:30. And today, at 22, it was like, does anybody know it's Sunday today? so especially a warm welcome to you all. It is lovely to see you. I am Reverend Rhona Segarra, and it is my pleasure and privilege, true privilege, to be the minister here at this amazing community of love and support and connection. And it is heartwarming for me personally to come in and see all of your beautiful faces here. So whether you are joining us as a repeat visitor or member of our community, I welcome you. And if you are here for the first time, I welcome you as well. And for those who are watching us on YouTube, everybody says hello. So everyone turn around and say hello. Thank you for being here and for watching. Here at Unity of New Westminster and the Unity movement in general, we offer ideas for full and abundant living. We draw primarily on the teachings of Jesus, who we consider our primary way shower and example. And we honor that there is wisdom to be found in faith traditions everywhere. There is wisdom to be found in story, in song, in our life experiences, in things that happen in the world, there is wisdom to be found everywhere. And whether we have a faith tradition or whether our faith tradition is no faith tradition at all, we honor every person's right to choose their path. All are welcome here. All are worthy here. All are celebrated here. And so let us begin our service in a time of centering prayer. And we begin by acknowledging with gratitude this physical place in which we are right now, on the traditional and ancestral land of the Kakite First Nation. And we are so grateful for First Nation peoples everywhere, for their custody of this beautiful land. We believe there is only one power, one creative energy, that energy that some call God, some call Yahweh, Allah, Gaia, Creator, the universe, life, nature, quantum. By whatever understanding we have for the creative power, we acknowledge it as one power, by whatever name. And in that one power, we are all connected, because it is in and as that power that we live and move and have our being. We are one. And from this oneness, from this awareness of our connection, we extend a blessing of love, a blessing of peace to every being on this planet, to every being, regardless of those labels that divide us, labels of ideology, of race, of preference, of outlook, of nationality. We see beyond those labels to the place where we are connected heart to heart. And it is from this place that we love. And we are so grateful for the awareness of this power. And we say amen.
Thanks to technology. Of which I'm very lucky. Today is Sunday, February 6th, 2022. I will use the mic. Today's word is healing. My faith is making me well. Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore Myrtle Fillmore's healing journey began when she changed her mind. Inspired by the words of a healing practitioner, she took this affirmation to heart. Quote, "I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness." End quote. After 2 years of persistent health-affirming meditation, prayer, and practice, Myrtle was healed. Her faith made her well. Myrtle Fillmore lived joyously and vigorously for many years. I take inspiration from this story. I, too, am a living expression of God. I feel my body's quickening response as I claim my inheritance of divine life, vibrantly active in every cell of my body. Good nutrition, exercise, and rest support my healing practice. My faith is making me well. This writing was inspired by the following verse in the book of Mark, chapter 5, verse 34. He said to her, and I quote, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." End quote.
So as we prepare ourselves to listen to today's message, I invite you to close your eyes if that is comfortable for you. And if you prefer to leave your eyes open, just allow them to rest gently on the floor, something in front of you. And take a breath. Or rather, become aware of your breath. And as you breathe in and out, become aware of that flow of energy entering, circulating, and then leaving your body. That divine flow of life. And with every breath, allow any tension in your body to relax. From the top of your head to the tip of your toes. Relax and let go. Allow your seat to support you, so your body does no work at all. And as you hear these words, I invite you to hear them as if they are yours. I am now immersed in the comfort of love. I feel love saturating my body and my mind, filling my body and my mind to overflowing. I feel comforted because I know that the energy of love is with me at all times. The energy of love is with me in all situations. And from that thought alone, I am comforted. From that thought alone, that love is with me at all times, my spirit is uplifted. I am safe, and I feel peaceful. My mind is still. I am at ease. Love flows through me now. Tranquility washes over me. And I realize that I am one with this love. I am one with peace. I am one with tranquility. I am never alone. I am never alone. And as we sit in silence, I reflect on the idea and the knowledge that at any time, peace and love are a breath away. Peace and love are a breath away.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. Tu es l'image de Dieu. I hold you in my heart. Tu es l'image de l'amour. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. Tu sei la luce di Dio. I hold you in my heart. Tu sei il volto dell'amore. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. The face of love. I hold you in my heart. In my heart. You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of love. The face of love. You are the face of love. The face of love. I hold you in my heart. In my heart. You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of love. The face of love. You are the face of God. The face of God. I hold you in my heart. You in my heart. You are a part of me. A part of me. You are the face of God. The face of God. You are the face of God. Eres la luz de Dios. I hold you in my heart. Eres la cara del amor. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. 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 La luce di Dio. You are the face. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. L'image de Dieu. You are the face. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face. You are the face of God. You are the face. You are the
I'm looking at you all, faces of God. You should see it from up here. It's beautiful. The view from here is terrific. Thank you. Okay, you get to sing happy birthday to our Unity Principles song. You ready? Here we go. One universal power, a network of all ideas lead to experiences. Take time to be still. You'll live in peace. At the end of 5 weeks, I would love for you to have that kind of gathered into your brains. And the reason for that is because these 5 lines are my best idea of capturing Unity's 5 basic principles. They use different language because it's, coming from head office sort of thing. And what I needed was something that I could remember for myself. And so driving back from Whistler a couple of years ago, poor Walt had to listen to me work out the best way for me to remember these principles, because it's not easy to remember things unless we have some mnemonic, some little trick to help us to remember. And so this is my language for Unity's 5 basic principles. And if you pay attention to the slide, you'll notice that they actually spell out unity. So kudos, Rhona. Anyway. No, I'm not joking, seriously. But, you know, that was just one of those things that just made it even better, was that I could pull it together that way. And so last week we looked, I do this every year at the beginning of the year, is to remind everyone about Unity's 5 basic principles. And last week we looked at the first of those principles, which is one universal power. And we spoke about the implications of that very idea, that whether your understanding for God is a he, a she, a being of some kind, whether it's a force or an entity of some kind, whether it's quantum or whether it's there is no God. It doesn't really matter. Who would think you'd ever hear a minister say that up on a pulpit? But the point is that whether you believe this or this or this, there is only one power, and it's all of it. And so we spoke about that revolutionary idea that what if we could even just get and live from that one power, that one idea, that whether your understanding is on one side and religious, or on another side and completely secular, or atheist, or agnostic, or any of the labels that we put on ourselves, that really it doesn't matter. So that's principle 1. That because of that, we could lean into the idea that there is not my way being the only right way, excuse me, or your way being the only right way, but that our understandings are a way. And that there's no favoritism in God. There's no Santa Claus style God saying, you did good, so yeah, I'm going to let you win this battle, but tomorrow it may be them who will win the battle because I favor them tomorrow. So illogical when we think about it as like stepping back and go, does not make sense. And so then from that we went into this exploration of the idea of God as being all included. That if it's true that there's only one power, then that's also true that whether it's positive or negative, or happy or sad, or life or death, or something we like or something we don't like, it's all included. There's no God and the devil playing chess for the souls of us. I see Gladys laughing at that. He laughs at that? Yeah, it's a great song by Krista Berg. It's called Spanish Train. And he talks about the idea of God and the devil playing chess. And then the final thing I spoke about last week as part of that principle 1 is that, having said all that there is order in the chaos, that there is bless in the mess, that even things that look counterintuitive because they Like, how could God possibly be in there? That when we look back at some of the most painful parts of our lives, we see that they actually did work for the good. So that was what we did last week. So if you weren't here last week, that was your 5-minute précis of what we did last week. So now we look at principle 2. And through all of this, I could have showed you the pictures, and I didn't. There's principle 1. Lots of names for God. Principle 2. A network of all. My language, there is no spot that God is not, including us. Now, sometimes this can be hard to accept. I mean, for some people, the whole idea of being connected to God may almost seem blasphemous. Like, who do you think you are to say that you are a part of this cosmic soup, whatever it might be, that we call God? And yet, if we were to accept that there is no spot that God is not, then how could that not be so, that that would include us? And think about it this way. When we look at the beauty of a sunset, or the majesty of the mountains, or the idea that every snowflake has a different molecular makeup, and we see the activity of God in all of that. We see activity of God in the beauty of a baby. And yet somehow we have this idea that God stops at our own skin. That God's out there somewhere. And all these other things demonstrate God, but somehow we don't. Isn't it sad that we have this idea that God is out there and kind of doing things to us, as opposed to us interacting with and part of nature, of life, of energy, of the force, whatever words you might choose to use for God. So we see God in the things that we find appealing. And we tend not to see God in things that are less than perfect. And this is where we go back to our lesson from last week, which is, it's all included. And so, if we can accept that there is God in life and in death, in positive and in negative, then surely that must mean that even for the parts of ourselves that we find unappealing, and who doesn't have parts of themselves that they find unappealing? If you don't think you have any, ask someone. But we have this idea that, all these other things are perfect and beautiful and therefore of God. Babies are of God until they get to a certain age, and then all of a sudden they become us. And then somehow we're no longer part of that. If you think about it logically, you'll recognize that there's really no logic in it. And so our goal is to recognize that we are always part of that universal power. As Jesus said, the sun rises and shines on the righteous and the unrighteous. On whether we're aware of it or not, we are part of that power. And so are all the other people who we don't like. In his book, The Third Jesus, Deepak Chopra writes this: I want to offer the possibility that Jesus was, as he proclaimed, a savior. Not the savior, not the one and only Son of God, but rather that Jesus embodied the highest level of enlightenment. He spent his brief adult life describing it, teaching it, and passing it on to future generations. Jesus intended to save the world by showing others the path to God consciousness. And then he ends the quote. And I think this is our clue about where we want to go with the idea that we are one with all that is, that we're this connected whole, is that even in the parts that are unpleasant, try putting the word vibrational frequency in instead of God, or energy instead of God, or sound level instead of God, or light level instead of God. And then recognize that there's no point at which God is not. There's no point at which energy doesn't exist. And our goal is simply to become more aware of the fact that we are that energy. And so, if we can, we want to dial up and speak and act at the highest level of light, frequency, love, whatever it might be. Love is a perfect example of, think of this almost like a ruler, and then put love. You know, they say God is love, so that's a great example of this. So think of love. And when we are operating in anger and frustration and name-calling and ugliness, then we're operating at a lower level of love. Get that? Does that make more sense, maybe? And when we're operating in a place of patience and strength and gentleness, then we're operating at a higher level of love. But we're always operating at some level. There is no spot that God is not. And we are creative beings. And if you don't think that is true, then think of times, at some level we know this. Think of times when unconsciously you might think of someone and then they phone you. Or you think of someone and you see them when you haven't seen them before. Or, you know, even at this very minor level, these things happen. There's something that we don't understand that connects us together. We still don't understand what it is well enough to be able to say, and then quantum physics will tell us that this is so. That people can communicate with each other around the planet with the power of their thoughts. We are part of the creative power that we call God. And so our goal is to manage our power wisely. Because we have it. So we want to manage it. Because if we don't, it may very well manage us. The thing is that it's really hard to break away from the idea of God is good, and if it's not good, then it's not God. It's a tough thing to break away from. even Unity's own language, even what Walt just read earlier today from the Daily Word, that Myrtle Fillmore went to a seminar. It was held by the metaphysician E.B. Weeks, who said, I am a child of sickness, the child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness. And she interpreted that to be, I don't need to buy into this sickness, which is true. But there's another part which kind of implies that sickness is not of God. You get that? And that's not true either. Because God is all of it. It's all included. Anyway, I digress a little bit. But we talk about, all humans having a spark of divinity. And again, it's like we're separating the idea of there's a spot that God is and a spot that God is not. There's a spot where we are part of God and a part where we're not. There's a part of us that's divine and a part of us that isn't. And I challenge that. Because if it's true that there is no spot that God is not, then that means that we are divinity, whatever that might look like. We are God, whatever that might look like. It is up to us to choose how we manage that power. How can I describe it better? Well, the way that I think of it is, there's plenty of ways, but the two that come to me the most is the idea of a safety net. Think of, you ever gone to the circus and the trapeze and they always have the net? And have you ever noticed that sometimes one person jumps on the net and the whole net moves? Well, we are part of that net. And sometimes when we push down on the net, it brings the entire net down. Think of that ruler and love. When we are expressing love at a low level, we're bringing the net down. Think also in terms of a glass of water. And in a glass of water, if you drop just a tiny bit of salt, it affects the whole. A tiny bit of sugar affects the whole. So those are two visuals that you might find helpful in thinking of this idea of there is no spot that God is not, including us. And that means that whether we are operating at low God frequency, low love, or whether we're operating at high love, it's all God. It's all energy. It's all our power. The thing is, this whole idea, which is so hard to explain to you or to share ideas. I was telling Cliff last night, I'm like, I just don't quite know how to share this idea. My brain goes into a pretzel with how to explain it. So I'm not sure what's going on for you out there. But that idea can completely transform how you look at the world. And I think of it as the power of one. One drop of water, one drop of food coloring, another great example, in water. Salt in water, sugar in water. One jump on the spider web or the safety net makes a difference. And it makes a difference whether it's going up or whether you are helping to uplift. And so our goal has to be to uplift. What are we here for? To become more aware, as Jesus said, of our conscious power, and become more conscious of our power. Because we're living from it all the time. And you know, because you have gone into a room feeling one way, and depending on how you feel, you can actually uplift a room, or you can allow it to take you down. Or sometimes you walk into a room and it helps you uplift, because we work together. And so think about how you might be the presence that uplifts, that adds love, that takes this ladder of love. Ooh, I like that. The ladder of love, and move up that ladder. Because a tiny little bit of difference in your outlook will make a massive difference in your life. So many things I can say about this. Gandhi had said that we may not be God, but we are of God, even as a little drop of water is of the ocean. We're not all of it, which is great. We can relax, you know. There's order in all of it, so we don't have to be too hard on ourselves. It's all included. We don't have to be too hard on ourselves. But we do have power, so let's manage it. And if we could get to this point where we recognize this, then there are some things that we would recognize and do, or not do, or stop doing. And one of them is that we would never harm another person. There's your love ladder. Harming another person drops us all down. It doesn't just harm that person, it harms us and this system. They call it systems theory, this idea of a net where one thing impacts the whole. And we know it to be true. We would never harm another person. We would never harm ourselves. We would never see others as less than. We would never even try to fix another person, because by fixing another person, we are saying they are less than. They may be operating at a different level of love than we like. But our goal is to hold the high watch. Because when we hold the high watch, they'll come up. Rather than my tendency, get right back down there with them. As my mom would say, don't stoop to their level. And one of the best ways I can think of is what Charles Fillmore says is to your mission. This is my favorite Charles Fillmore saying. Your mission is to express all that you can imagine God to be. Your mission is to express all that you can imagine God to be. But then I started thinking, okay, well, that's true, but if God is all, then we need to actually expand that. So Rhona's version, your mission is to express all that you can imagine the highest expression of God to be. Because if God's all of it, you can imagine God to be down here. And there are people who do, who believe that God is anger and all those things. So I'm inviting you to consider your mission to be to express the highest expression of God that you can be. And this aha moment that I shared with you, that I'll share with you as a closing thought, that every week in many Unity churches we say the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. This prayer for protection is actually on the moon. It was left on the moon by Michael Collins, I think, one of the Apollo 11 astronauts. And we often change it then to say the light of God surrounds you, love of God enfolds you, and so on. And something was kind of missing, just like that Fillmore quote. For me, there was always something missing, because it was always the light of God surrounds you. Light of God out there surrounds you. I'm like, no, something's not quite right with this. For me. Might be right for other people, and that's okay. It's all included. And I realize what it is that if we are to be the expressions of God, then we can rename that to the light of me surrounds you. The light of you surrounds me. We can be the light for each other. We can be the love for each other. We can be the power that protects each other. And we can be the presence that shows up at the highest level of that love ladder that I just discovered in my brain. And so think of that. The power of us protects us. The light of us protects us. We are the face of God. Wherever we are, we are. And we are God. There is no spot that God is not, including us. I bless you. I shouldn't bother with slides, you know. I forget them. That was God giving life to Adam. Think of it as us giving life to each other.
In the morning of my life, I shall look to the sunrise. At a moment in my life when the world is new, and the blessing I shall ask is that God will grant me to be brave and strong and true, and to fill the world with love my whole life through, and to fill the world with love, and to fill the world with love, and to fill the world with love my whole life through.
In the noontime of my life, I shall look to the sunshine. At a moment in my life when the sky is blue, and the blessing I shall ask will remain unchanging, to be brave and strong and true, and to fill the world with love my whole life through, and to fill the world with love, and to fill the world with love, and to fill the world with love, my whole life through. In the evening of my life, I shall look to the sunset. At a moment in my life, when the night is due, and the question I shall ask only I can answer: was I brave and strong and true? Did I fill the world with love my whole life through? Did I fill the world with love? Did I fill the world with love? Did I fill the world with love my whole life through? Did I fill the world with love? Did I fill the world with love? Did I fill the world with love my whole life?
Thank you. My lovely wife always reminds me of everything that I need to do. You should see when we're on the road. Please, please join us on Zoom tomorrow and every Monday for our weekly prayer meeting. We check in with each other, we enjoy a guided meditation, and we recognize the names of the people on our prayer list. If you are challenged with an issue for which you feel that you need prayer, please add your name to the list by filling in a prayer request slip and placing it in the basket, which already went around, so you could give it to Rhona. You could send us an email or submit a prayer request on our website. We leave the names on our list for 2 months. And of course, those are the names that are recognized on Monday. And then we forward the names to Silent Unity, which is Unity's 24/7 prayer vigil and prayer phone line, located at Unity Village in Kansas City. Oops. Rhona says, don't do that. The board of directors is calling a special meeting of the membership of Unity of New Westminster for next week. That would be Sunday, February the 12th, immediately after the service at 12:30 p.m. We were the recipients of a generous legacy gift last year, and the board is requesting the approval of the membership to use some of the funds from our gift for the purchase of new windows in the fellowship hall, in the offices, in the bathrooms, and in the Montessori school. The vote will be held in person, and we will also open a Zoom room for those of you out there who can't make it, or those of you in here who can't make it, in person, and we look forward to seeing you next week for that. Then, immediately after the vote for new windows on Sunday, We will hold a community circle starting at around 1 p.m. At that meeting, the board will share a plan for Unity of New Westminster based on input from the previous community circle held last fall. It's also an opportunity to hear feedback from the community. We love hearing feedback from all of you. The meeting will be held in person, and we will also Zoom the meeting. And a fellowship lunch will be provided. Okay, so that's next week on the 12th. Reverend Vicki Vanderhurst, who most of you probably don't recognize the name, but those of you who were here when Rhona was ordained, thank you, the word escapes me. When Rhona was ordained, she was the minister that facilitated that ordainmentship for Rhona. Okay, so she recently retired as a minister of the Unity of Comax. Now, for us foreigners, where is Comax? Comox. Okay. She's hosting a book study based on the book Even Mystics Have Bills to Pay. Oh, I didn't know that. It will be on Zoom starting on Tuesday, February the 14th at 6 p.m. To get the Zoom link, register at the email address on our screen. Right there. Unity of Canada has introduced a program called Spirit Groups Canada. Spirit groups are small groups who gather in person and on Zoom. See, I shouldn't have done that. I lost my space now. For an experience of learning, growing, connecting, and celebrating in an engaging and inspiring topic. Facilitators have fully completed the host orientation and training. Upcoming topics include sharing wisdom, in the flow of life, ISIS in the Bible. ISIS in the Bible? I thought she was a cartoon figure. Yeah, ISIS in the Bible. Medicinal plants. Whole thought. And the 5 principles, including the 5 principles that Rhona's been talking about, and spiritual laws. This is an opportunity to learn, to grow medicinal plants, and to meet fellow spiritual seekers from all over the country. Participation is absolutely free. More information is available on the Unity Canada's website and also on Unity of New Westminster's website. We are grateful for your gifts which support our ministry. Okay, I'm supposed to skip a part here because Sharon already went around with the basket, so let me find that spot. Okay. Let's just sing the song. Please bring to mind, please bring to mind anything that you might be grateful for, of which we all have something to be grateful for. And I'm grateful for all of you sitting there listening to me very patiently. The blessing song. Thank you.
I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And we are indeed so blessed. And I am so grateful, and I am so grateful for all of you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Walt, for being our platform person. And thank you to Greta and Sharon and Barb, who helped with greeting today, and to Cliff and to Lyle and to Glenn, who are on sound. Glenn's been shaking his head, but he's on sound. We're cross-training so that we have more people available to do some of this audio-visual stuff. And one of the things I did not acknowledge last week is you'll have noticed that the piano is now facing front, which I think is so much nicer. And we have a monitor. We had a concert here last night that went over supremely well, and we had wonderful compliments from the people who are professional musicians about how things were set up. And I want to extend my gratitude to Lyle and to Cliff and to Richard, particularly those three people, for their input in making monitors and pianos and everything look amazing. And also to Glenn's friend, Brian, thank you, you're a blank, who used to be an instructor at BCIT in the AV department, and so who came and helped us become a little bit more educated. So think of all these amazing things and how grateful and how blessed we are. Let's stand and get into a circle as we join hands or clink elbows or whatever feels safe for you as we sing our blessing, our peace song and prayer for protection. Thank you, everyone.
And let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
I am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. You are the light of God. You are the love of God. You are the power of God. You are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is. You are the light of God. You are the love of God. You are the power of God. You are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is. We are the light of God. We are the love of God. We are the power of God. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well.
And one final thing, I just want to thank Gisela and Lyle for joining in singing. So on days when we have video music, as we did today, I'm going to invite any of us who like to sing to come on up into this area, grab a microphone. We'll always have at least a couple ready, because it's fun to actually have our own community sing. So thank you very much, Gisela. Thank you, Lyle. And thanks, everyone.